Coming up on Around San Diego, the Trump administration taking a step back on his tariffs against Canada and Mexico, how this could impact California. And this week, Caltrans came in and cleaned out a homeless encampment in Chula Vista. We have the latest. Plus, the San Diego City Council listens to hours of public comment on the city's ADU program. We'll share those details as Around San Diego starts now. Hello and welcome. Thank you so much for joining us as we take you around San Diego. I'm CBS 8's Jenny Day, and I'll get you caught up on a week's worth of news, and we'll look ahead in less than 30 minutes. We do begin with politics. It's been a week filled with a lot of back and forth on the tariffs that President Trump implemented on Tuesday. It was initially a 25% tariff on all imports from Mexico and Canada, but President Trump has since taken a step back, reprieving those tariffs on all products included under the U.S. Mexico Canada Trade Treaty, or USMC. However, the president says the worst tariffs are yet to come, those reciprocal ones that are set to start on April 2nd. The timing of all of this is critical for Southern California, where rebuilding efforts from recent wildfires are set to begin. It could also affect construction here in San Diego.
Increased pricing for reconstruction due to the increased price of lumber, but a lot of people don't realize that there's also aluminum that's used throughout the construction process. So it is a bit of a double whammy.
Yeah, so both Mexico and Canada have announced retaliatory 25% tariffs that will start soon in response to the American tariffs. Well, now to cuts at NOAA, raising concerns about the future of weathercasting. The Trump administration's recent funding cuts have resulted in significant layoffs at the National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration, approximately 600 positions across various departments. These scientists specialize in tracking environmental data, including hurricane monitoring, tsunami prediction, and flood risk assessment. NOAA plays a role in maritime safety, fishery management, disaster response, and climate science as well. We talked with an environmental advocate and policy manager at San Diego Surfrider Foundation, who is concerned about how these changes might impact our preparedness.
Surfrider is calling on Congress to do everything in its power to stop these cuts, because again, this makes San Diego and America less safe and makes us more vulnerable. It does not make us stronger. This hurts our country.
A federal judge has temporarily halted the mass firings pending a legal review. Let's now take a closer look at San Diego's deadly flu season. 5 teenagers in our county have died from the flu. The most recent victim of the virus was a 16-year-old girl from inland North County who was not vaccinated. The county's weekly tracking report shows 19 flu-related deaths total last week, bringing our grand total to 150. That is a lot. We are also now at 34,000 total flu cases, which is already more than double the amount we had this time last year. Doctors say if you get sick, take all precautions and get tested immediately.
You could be passing it along to somebody else, thinking it's just allergies, and it may affect them differently than it's affecting you.
Yeah, so the doctor there says vaccination rates are down and life, as you know, it is returning to normal after the pandemic's masking and social distancing. And they say those are some reasons why respiratory diseases are spreading at this rate. Well, following up now on a Working For You story we did on a homeless encampment in Chula Vista. People who live and work in that area say that they've had to deal with vandalism, excessive trash, and threats of violence, along with stolen water and power. But this week, Caltrans did come in and clean out that area. And even those living there agree that the encampment had kind of gotten out of control. Here's CBS 8's Steve Price with more.
Piles of trash, needles, lighters, food containers cleared out of the homeless encampment we first told you about last week.
It's a safety issue. It's a sanitation issue.
That was Tony Schwartz last Tuesday, the same day we shot this drone video of a patch of land between I-5 and Bay Boulevard just south of H Street in Chula Vista that was clogged with camping supplies, property that's controlled by Caltrans. Working for you, CBS 8 reached out to Caltrans about the situation, and exactly 1 week later, their crews were out here cleaning out the encampment. The people living here were warned Sunday that this was going to happen and needed to leave or face a fine for trespassing.
There was just garbage everywhere. Couldn't really maneuver, and it was just overwhelming.
This man, who asked not to be identified, has been living here on and off for years and understands why people who work and live around the area are frustrated, not only with trash, but people stealing electricity and water. But he's disappointed Caltrans kicked them out without providing any resources.
I have no idea. Like, I'm just stuck. I don't know whether to go left, right, up, or down. I really don't know.
She died of a fentanyl overdose 6 months ago.
Sylvia Irigoyen's daughter Liz died out here.
I miss her a lot.
She says she tried to get her help, but a lack of resources made it impossible. So she understands the struggles those living here are going through.
And I know these people need to get help, but at the same time, they got to be respectful of everybody else around them.
We caught up with Tony again today, who was pleased to see the cleanup effort, which he hopes will end the vandalism and excessive littering his business has had to deal with. Problems he says many have complained about for years, but got nowhere until CBS 8 stepped in to help.
I appreciate being able to talk with you, Steve, and everybody here, and hopefully you guys can keep doing the work that needs to be done.
Steve Price there reporting. Thank you. Meantime, the San Diego City Council listened to hours of public comment as it considers repealing the city's ADU program, which lets property owners build apartments in their backyards. Many want to see changes, specifically with the bonus ADU program, which allows someone to build several units on one lot.
Fight has been going on for 4 years. There is no reason why I should be here. You should have already taken care of it, and it pisses me off.
So most people who spoke say they are fine with 1 or 2 units in a backyard. They are upset with large complexes some call ADUs on steroids. People in support of these granny flats also spoke, saying now is not the time to scale back on housing.
Certainly room for improvements with the program. The urgency of our housing crisis demands that we continue to produce as much housing as we possibly can.
The council did repeal something called Footnote 7, which made it easier for bonus ADUs to be built in communities in Southeast San Diego. And right now, Chula Vista police are debating whether to put more officers on the streets. So CBS 8 spoke with Chief Roxana Kennedy. She says they have the lowest number of police officers per capita in San Diego County, even though Chula Vista is the second largest city. Right now, there are about 280 officers on staff, but they serve a population of 280,000 people. Sandag says the regional average is 1.3 officers per 1,000 residents. So to reach that ratio, Chula Vista Police would need to grow their department by 22%.
Policing is expensive. Public safety is very expensive. And, that's the challenge that we face.
Yeah, Police Chief Kennedy says that Chula Vista has seen a lot of growth in Otay Ranch and eastern areas of the city. Well, the Coronado Unified School District is suing Veolia, the operators of the South Bay International Wastewater Treatment Plant, claiming they have exposed the community to raw sewage for years. The district is seeking damages to cover medical expenses for students and staff who suffered issues like headaches, nausea, and dizzy spells because of exposure to toxic pollutants. A spokesperson for Veolia talked with CBS 8, saying that the Mexican government is at fault for these issues because pollution in the Tijuana River overwhelms the plant's resources.
Mexico has sent so much debris, mud, silt, garbage in the sewage that comes into the plant that it's knocked pumps offline.
Yeah, so last year, Congress approved $600 million in funding to repair and expand the treatment plant. Well, Well, San Diego has joined a lawsuit challenging the Trump administration's threat to withhold federal grants from jurisdictions that don't cooperate with immigration enforcement. The lawsuit was originally filed in Northern California last month. It argues that withholding these funds is unconstitutional. San Diego describes itself as a welcoming city that does not obstruct federal immigration laws. And right now, there is growing fear among Ukrainian refugees that they could be deported. This comes after reports that President Trump is planning to take away their legal status. Under the Biden administration, more than 200,000 Ukrainians entered the U.S. under humanitarian parole. Many wound up in San Diego, and CBS 8 spoke with one woman this week who fled Ukraine with her husband and 2 children. Her family has integrated into our community. She works at a Carlsbad school now, and her children attend local schools, but now she is scared about what might happen.
Horrible, especially for children. It's big stress, and I don't know. Today I woke up. It was not only confused. I feel big stress. What my steps next? How I can protect and save my children?
Yeah, the White House says no decision has been made about their plan for Ukrainian refugees yet. Well, cars are once again cruising down 5th Avenue in the Gaslamp quarter with no bollards blocking the way at night. The bollards that typically block traffic on 5th between K Street and Broadway were temporarily removed last month due to financial constraints. Now, while the Gaslamp Quarter Association managed the bollards installed in 2023, the city of San Diego had been reimbursing them under a memorandum of understanding. Records show the Gaslamp Quarter Association requested a long-term commitment from the city last year. Local businesses have mixed reactions to the change.
I've been here at night now since this has changed, and it is like a big hazard as well. I know there's tough decisions to make, but I think if anything, this is going to economically hurt the Gaslamp.
The Gaslamp Quarter Association maintains this is not a permanent decision and is working with the city to restore the bollards. Well, the super bloom we normally see in the desert will not look the same this year, but we are sharing with you why you should still visit Borrego this spring. Well, nearly 24 alpacas are settling into their new home in East County. They arrived Thursday morning from Central California after their previous owner recently died. So lions, tigers, and bears teamed up with Ramona-based Robin's Nest to find safe homes for the herd of 21. They are between the ages of 15 and 20 years old and may have otherwise been euthanized due to their age and special needs.
We are strictly a sanctuary, so we rescue, provide a lifetime home. We don't buy, breed, sell, or trade animals. They're just going to live out their life, get to be an alpaca, and hang out with all the volunteers.
Yeah, so 4 of the alpacas will live there at the Alpine Sanctuary. Some will stay with Robin's Nest, and the rest have found homes with private owners. Well, despite the rain that we have seen this week, experts say it's a little too late to have an impact on this year's desert bloom. Really a bummer for both visitors and people who live in Borrego Springs. This is the time of year when the community relies heavily on people visiting.
Encourage, even with no bloom, please still come and plan a visit.
So that was Bree Fordham with the Anza Borrego Foundation. She tells us there are still some patches of wildflowers here and there, but you will have to look harder to find them. The group has an interactive map on its website where visitors can mark where they have seen wildflowers and post pictures. Bree hopes people will not be discouraged from visiting.
For me is that more new visitors won't be exposed to the desert like they usually are in a big bloom. But I have the opportunity to share that the desert is a great place to visit anyway.
Yeah, beautiful no matter what. And there, of course, will still be some flowers. You can also hike, and there are wind-carved rock formations, diverse wildlife, and some of the best stargazing in the state. Still ahead, the work of the San Diego Zoo goes far beyond what we see here at home. We'll share how they're helping polar bears in an Earth 8 report. Welcome back. Well, the work of the San Diego Zoo goes far beyond what we see here at home. In fact, they are gaining critical knowledge daily all around the world, including the Arctic. CBS 8's Netta Iranpour shows us how local scientists are making new discoveries on polar bears in this Earth 8 report.
We're so lucky here in San Diego to get to view these 3 polar bears on any given day at the San Diego Zoo. Behind the safety of glass, we can watch the 1,100-pound Kaluk with his sister, Tatik. They were both rescued out of Alaska at just 12 to 16 pounds when their mom was shot and killed by a hunter. Then there's Chinook, the one with the goatee, who was also left orphaned, rescued out of Canada.
People can come and see the bears that they might not ever see in the wild and make that connection.
While we're watching them seemingly play around, bask in the sun, and enjoy some bites to eat, researchers like Dr. Nicholas Pilfold are also learning from them here to help their population a world away.
Polar bears are a very difficult species to study. They cover very inaccessible terrain. A single polar bear can cover something like 250,000 square kilometers in a single year, so a very large space. And in the middle of winter, it can be 24 hours of darkness, and it can be as low as minus 40 degrees Fahrenheit. So really, really tough for researchers to go out and work on the bears in person.
But he's doing just that along with a team of researchers in the frigid Arctic with the San Diego Zoo Wildlife Alliance, the Polar Bears International, the Norwegian Polar Institute, and the University of Toronto Scarborough to reveal the first detailed look at polar bear cubs emerging from their dens. They've been tracking bears with GPS collars and setting up a series of cameras where the bears are known to build dens in Svalbard, Norway. And now look at this remarkable sight. The remote cameras have now captured the moment a mother pokes her head out from her den, covered in mounds of snow, to see if the world is safe enough for her little ones.
Believe it or not, when a polar bear is born, they're just about 1 pound. They're hairless, blind, completely relying on their mother for that high fatty milk so they can grow. They're very vulnerable. And this research is showing that they're in the den for anywhere from 2 to 4 months.
Sadly, only about 50% of cubs survive, so their timing is crucial.
It's still really cold outside. So if you go and expose a cub to that cold air, they could get a chill, a hypothermia, and that could be a cause of mortality for these cubs. So you want to make sure they're big enough, robust enough, that they can handle the outside environment.
They typically stay by mom's side for about 2.5 years as she shows them how to hunt for their main food source, seals on the sea ice. In this video, you can see a mother with 3 cubs as they seem to be sliding down snowbanks and perhaps getting their bearings. Learning about their denning habits is critical to the species' survival because, as many people now know, the polar bear's biggest threat is climate change.
What's happening in the Arctic right now is it's warming at about 2 to 3 times the rate of the rest of the planet. So if you think about the changes that we see here in California, they're happening even faster in the Arctic.
They're losing sea ice at a rapid rate. Why does that matter?
Seen in populations of polar bears where they're spending more time on land and away from ice because the ice just isn't there anymore. And that pushes bears really hard. When they're on the ice, they're hunting seals, they're gaining fat, they're getting big. When they come off of that ice, they have to fast.
And no one wants to see a hungry polar bear, which is why these latest findings and videos of polar bear activity will then help determine how industries in the Arctic can coexist to not disturb a species that is now the flagship for climate change. For Earth 8 at the San Diego Zoo, I'm Netta Iranpour.
So incredible. Thank you for watching. Take care.